created a list over here and we try to add something and we try to module edit our columns, add some more columns, right? So have you guys
Right.
tried? It seems even with Muhammad it was the same issue yesterday. So today we'll be adding the list in some other way which actually we used to do, and let us see whether it works out or not, right?
Okay.
So in resumes actually, if you remember yesterday we have added it from here. We clicked on edit, right, and we did something
Right.
called insert, right, and we had something called list over here or existing list, uh,
Right.
right. Let me add the new again, which is something called document library. Again, let me take it as resumes. See here, yesterday we have added something called document library, which is again a list of type document, right? You remember yesterday?
Right.
And we
Yes.
gave we gave the name called resumes, right? Now let us see. I gave the same name here. Let me click on OK. Can you see here? Which it says that you have already added something called list here, right? Which means for a same page you will not be able to use the same document library, right? Because you also have one more thing called existing list, right? If you click on that, you can see when you can see here, right? You have something called resumes, which we have created. Do you remember? We have
Yeah.
created something called
Yes.
resume list. You already have these things, right? So that's why you will never be able to create again the same list. So that's why you have to give something called, let me take you the name as resumes 1, and the list type is document library, fine. So here what I'm doing is I'm just adding one document library again. Let me click on OK. Fine, it added in the same way, fine. So I got all the columns as we have done yesterday. So let me click on this again. My page is in edit mode, fine. My page is in edit mode. Let me select this. So when I select this part of my list, I got all my web parts and library tools. Let's go to library, and here can you see one more view called modify view, create column and all, right?
Yes.
You can see
Uh,
this. So here we have something called, these are nothing but columns. So yesterday we have edited our columns through something called library settings. If you go to library settings, so here we were able to see all the columns which is title created by modified and all, right? And here we try to add one column. Let me take it as something emp name, and same as here, and we just leave everything and we just say okay. So here we got something called emp name, right? We got it.
Right.
And when we went back again to resumes, see I even I am not able to see that here, right? So that was a problem yesterday which we have got again. If you go back to the same list again, if you select it up and go back to library, go to library settings, but here we were able to see this, right?
yeah.
So that was, I this is something that was because of our server installation actually, anyways, right? So this, I don't know why it was happening, and again there is a restriction that we are not supposed to install our SharePoint server in Windows 7, right? Because we have to use something called Windows Server 2008, fine. So if you are getting these type of behaviors, that can be because of some operating system, or this way of addition of columns will, is not accepted by this, right? Anyways, but in some pieces this can happen, but whatever you can see here should be added up. So let me go and change like all documents, and here I can see everything, right? We have done the same thing yesterday. Let me just uncheck on these things and let us save it up. Okay, so here you can see, right? I can see that my list actually got changed, which is my type, name and employee name and all, right? But again when I go back to this again, my resumes, right, again it's the same thing, right? So that's how it created. But now let us see basically how we actually work with lists in without designing the page inside list. Let us see how the actual concept of lists we'll see it now here, right? Now for that, let us create a new site here, and let me take something called blank site, and let us call something as some something called shop, some shop, and let us take an example of shop here. Right. Just go to, if you click on more again here, if you can see here, whenever I'm creating a site, in a sense it's a site same as HR site or account site and all, right? So
Yes.
in which we can create something called page. Fine. So I'm just taking a blank site here. So that's what I said, as I started my class, I said we'll be learning basic items first, and then we'll resume on with creating a site. Fine. So that's why I'm just taking some blank set here. I'll just say it as some shop, and if you click on more options, we have something called, you can write some description. Let us say this is something called shop, containing containing some general things or items, right? I'll just say this, and we'll give some same permissions and all. We'll just go and click on create.
Srinath, are you recording the video?
Yep, yeah, I've started that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the green lines going on here. I've started my recording.
Okay.
Fine. So here, can you see this? It's a brand new site, which if you can see here again, I've created that site under HR site anyways. It doesn't matter at all, right? I'm just focusing on something. So now, can you see here? When I created a normal site, there is nothing being created here. Mohammed, you remember when we created a normal, a general site, it gave me a image here, it got
Yeah.
something big, some definition here or something. But when we create a blank site, it will give you the actual blank site. So that is
Right.
nothing but new site. Actually, we have created something called team site on that day, right? So now we
Yeah.
created something called blank site. Blank site will give you complete blank. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what we have. Now again, even in blank site, it will give you all the options like libraries, lists, discussions and all. But for this shop, we don't have anything. If you go to lists, it will just say there are no lists, right? And it will give you an option to create. If you go to libraries, it will say there are no nothing. Now today, let us for this shop again, let us go and create some lists. Okay. So how to
Yeah.
create list is, you can either go to lists here, and you can direct click on create, or go back to shop again. It's always recommended to use to create something from site actions itself, right? Don't you can also go and use shortcuts, but if you don't have these shortcuts, again it's a problem, right? Am I right?
Right.
So because
Right.
let us say this shop contains, this is my page, which contains some these things, libraries, lists and discussions are nothing but our quick launch, right? And how can I change my quick launch here? Again, if let us say if I don't want any quick launch here, just go to site actions. Again, we have something called site settings, right? Under site settings, we have something called quick launch. Go to quick launch. Now you can see here, right? Again, the same thing, library list. Let us say I don't want all these things. Just click on that, delete up, say OK. Click on again one more list, delete up, OK. And discussions, I don't want this, delete up, and OK. Now if you go back to your site, now you can see that your site is very clear, right? There is nothing in here, and you can start afresh, right? So now here at this moment, you can see here you don't have something called lists, right? So at this time, if you try to use something like quick launch, you'll be confused again from where I can create lists and libraries and all. So that's why always it is best to create something from site actions, right? Now here, so this is my page, which is a clear page which I don't have anything. Now I want to create a list here. Now let us see how. So just go to site actions. You have something called more options. Now you can see here, right? This more options is something where you can create pages, where you can create lists, libraries or sites, right?
Uh-huh.
Let me click on that. Now this window is again very important window, where you can create anything from here. So again I just want to stress on this. I just went to site actions. I'm not clicking on anything like new site, new library, or nothing. I just selected one generic one, which is more options. So in this more options, can you see here, in this I can create a list, library or a page, right? Or I can create anything what I want. So here
Right.
when I click on all types, it will give you the all like it gives me something called site, it gives me something called custom list, it gives me something called calendar or a blog site, right? Here everything is messed up. Can you see this? It gives me something called web part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything is messed up here. So which is because I'm seeing all types, it is combining everything. So here you have subdivisions like library, lists, page and site, right? If you want to add a list, just click on list, it will give you all the different type of lists. If you go to library, we'll understand what is a library anyways. It will give you all the libraries. If you go to page, it will give you what is a different type of pages you can have. If you go to site again, can you see here, you can see the blank site and all, right? Now
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
let us say first let us add a page, okay? Or you can add for this site I can directly add something called list, right? So let me select now you understand this, I can filter on this, right? And I can do the listing again. You have again something called category where you have something called blank and custom. If you select, it will give you in lists what are the blank and custom lists. If you go to collaboration, it will give you something like in collaboration and list. If you don't have, it won't give anything anyways. If you go to communication, you can see I have something called announcements, contacts, dashboard and links. And the same way content, you have something called content, data. You will be getting, these are the subcategories, right? So in that way, let me go to the all categories where you can see all the type of lists, right? Anyways, we'll be seeing each and every list anyways. Okay, first ever, let us select something called custom list where you can create your own list for your page, right? So in this custom list, let me give the list name as something called grocery. Fine. Groceries. I'm bad with my spellings. If there is any spelling mistake, just pardon me, guys. Right? Go to
Okay.
more options. See here what you can do. You can give the description of your items. Get all grocery items. Fine. From this list. And here it is asking display the list on quick launch. I'll say yes. Right. So when you go and create your list, now can you see here in your page, you can see something called under list, you can see something called grocery, right? And this is your
Right.
list being created. Now here we have created something called default or custom list where you don't have anything. Now if you go and click on item, you will get only one thing called title, right? And we are getting nothing, so which
Yeah.
is the name is grocery, right? So now let us see. So this is a basic type of list, right? Which we can have, and you can create any columns in here. Now let us see how we can work with list here, right? So in this, let us say I want some more columns here. So where you can add columns from here. You have an option called create column here, right? Where you can directly go and create. Let us say just click on create column. So you'll get something called, now whenever you click on column, so see here I have selected a list type called grocery, right? I can also have one more list here, right? And whenever whatever the list you are referring to, right? And if you go to list here, so that list will be, the column will be added to that particular list. Fine. So when you create column, it will take you to the screen where you can actually give this, right? Let us say I'm giving something here called grocery name. My column name is something called grocery name, and I'll give something called description. Let me take the single line text where I'm just giving that I want all the grocery names here, right? And let me give here, can you see one option here requires that this column contains information, right? Which means if I say yes, it means I am making this column as mandatory one. Fine. So that is a mandatory one. So I'll just go and click on OK. Now can you see here grocery name? So now
Yeah.
we had something called two columns, title and grocery name. Now let us go and add some more thing. Let us say I want a price, right? Under price, my column name is price. Okay, let me select something called currency. So my what happens? My currency. Uh, so my column name is price and it is of type currency, right? And let me give the description as it is grocery item price. Fine. and let me make it as again mandatory, and let me click on let me take the format as US dollars and click on OK. Can you see now I have three columns, which is grocery, price and all, right? So now my list is ready with these columns, which is title, or if let us say if you don't want title, just click on this just go to lists. Here again I want to delete something, right? Just, or I want to hide something, just go to that and go to all items. I don't know whether it will again show it to me or not, but let me try. Go to, just click on title and attachments and click on OK. Okay, fine. Now can you see here, so my page is nothing but shop, right? And under
Yeah.
which I have something called grocery, where I have something called grocery name and price. Fine. So
Mm-hmm.
now my list is ready. Now if I click on add item, can you see here my title? Anyways, it is my title column is there, but I won't it won't display here, but I have to give something called title name. Fine. Okay, let me take a light title as something serial number as 1 anyways, right? And let me give the grocery name as something called soap. Fine. And let me give it as some 48 cents, right? And let me save it up. So now can you see here, it's a item called soap and the price is this. Fine. And let me add up some more things, like something called, right, let me take it as 2, and let me take the grocery name as some shampoo, right? And let me give it as $1, one something. So as see here, we have mentioned something called currency here, right? So for this column, right? So that's why
Right.
what it gives is, it gives in terms of the currency. Fine. So that is what we are doing now. So let me add up again. So I'm just adding to show you something here. Let me take it as 3, and my grocery name is, let us say, I can get something called fruit, some apple. I can get some fruits anyways. Let me take give it as some dot, some 30 cents. Let me save it up. Okay. Now I've added 3 items now, right? So what I want to show is, we have 2 columns visible, right? Let us say I also want something called, I also want the item ID, which is nothing but we have given something called item type, right? Let us go back to lists, right, again. And again, in order to add or in order to show the column, again you have to go to list settings, right? Again go back to all items, right? And here you can see all the columns. So here what I'll do, I'll just click on title,
How
because
does it choose dollar automatically with
how
the
does it
price?
choose, yeah, how does it choose dollar is no. So if you click on, okay, how does it choose? So while adding this column price, we gave the currency as dollar. I'll show you that. Go to list again, okay, and go to something called list settings, and here this is my price, right? This is my
Yeah.
column. If you click on this price again, right, so it will take you to the column definition. So I've taken something called price and the currency here, right?
Okay.
And I gave, if you
First
can
is
see here,
dollar.
currency format, right? There is
Oh,
a
okay.
currency format where it is, we are giving something called dollar, right? You can have all the currency formats anyways, right? I can give
Right.
anything. So based on that it will be changing, right? I just
Okay.
selected something in here. Fine. So that's why we got this currency as that. And let me edit this up again, and let me give this title as my first. So can you see here what I'm doing here? I'm just arranging my columns, right? This position from left is nothing but from my left I want title to be the first column, right? And my grocery name to the second column, and my price is nothing but the third column. Fine.
Right.
And let me just check upon created by, and let me give something called my fourth column, right? I gave first, second, third and fourth. Now let me just go and click on OK. So can you see here now my title is now at first, grocery name is at second column, price and created by. Fine. So this is how we work with list. So we have taken something called custom list and we have created so many things. Now let me take up one more thing here. Can you see this? If you want to sort this, so there are items which is not sorted, right? It is neither sorted by, let me just add one more item so that you can understand this better. Let me take something called I, like it's 4, and I have something called iron box. So I'll just take some iron box and something. Let me give that as 5 or save it up. Okay, now you can see these are neither sorted by anything. Just forget about title. Anyways, we can give title as something else. So if you want to sort something, just you have options here, right? You have something called small to top. If you click on that, it will give you your price in ascending order, right? Again, the same way you can just large to top, you can sort it out. So this is provided directly in your SharePoint list. And again, if you see, this is the same thing as grid. So whenever you go to some general source sites, you will be getting something called add to cart, right? You have to select something. That selecting is again here checkbox. Can you see here? Can you
Yeah.
see? I can select these things, right? I can select these things, and when we see, when we if you want to select these things, we are selecting, and we'll be anyways creating something called web parts, where whatever you are selecting, we can add to some other list, right? We'll be seeing that. So here SharePoint directly provides to select these up. Now whenever you select, if you want to see all the details of selected one, right? This is a ribbon being provided in SharePoint, and even if you give this the same link to anyone who just want to view all the grocery items, even they will be getting all these items. Now let us say I want to see what are the details of soap, right? Just click on view item. It will give you the actual details of your soap, right? So as of now, as we had only these three things being given, that's why it is showing up here. Now again, here there is one more thing. You can delete it from here, right? You can edit item from here, or you can also alert me. What is this alert me? I mean, this alert me, you can see it from description itself.
Like
Can
a
you see here?
reminder bell, right?
You can see from, sorry, you're not able to see this?
It's like a reminder bell to
Yeah,
remind you about
it is
something.
like, if any, if let us say my grocery name is soap, right? Let us say if my price rate is going up, or if it is going down, right, in market, if you create an alert here, it will give you either SMS or email or something. You can create alert on that, right? And anyways, we'll see the alerts when we come to actual alerts. So what are the different type of alerts we have, and how to create an alert for a list item. Fine. So that's why here, even from here, you can do the same. You can view item, edit item, right? And you can do delete, and we'll see other options later. Fine. Again, if you want to sort something from here, you can sort it out from A to Z. It will create something in this way, right? Again, you can do. Right, and we will understand this filter from grocery name apple, or some item, when we come to compound something. You understood what I have done now here?
Yeah.
Now
Yes.
what I said is, see, let us say you want to select some things, select some items, right? It will go and give you that particular item. So that's why, like, when we have more items, then you will understand that's it. So when
Right.
this is basically used to actually sort all the items whatever you have. But here the down the bottom is for something. If you want to see the particular item only, you can
You
just go
can
and
choose
select
that.
that item. It will show you only that item, and select that item. See, as the number of items are very low here, that's why you are not able to you know distinguish between those things. But let us say you have some 100 groceries, and you want to go and see particular. Again, here what happens is, this will be sorted. The whatever items you are seeing here will be sorted for you. It will give you from apple, and and all will be sorted. You can just go back to the actual item you want to see, just select on that, and you can see it here, right? So that is what is one type of sorting. Anyways, just click on this again, you can see all the what is that, just click on this again, which is clear, right? It will give you everything again. Fine. So these are some things in in our list, which by adding and all. Now in list again we have something called, if you want to delete this row, I said go to items and just click on delete item. If you click on that, it will delete an item for you. It says deleting.
You can just right click and delete the normal
You
way, right?
sorry.
You can just right click and delete like how you do in everything else.
uh, so that you said right click and delete.
Yeah, to delete it's the same delete option as in
Yeah, exactly.
Microsoft Word, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even if yep, it's the same thing, right? You have something called, if you have an Excel, if you have a record in that, if you want to delete, if you just do right click and delete, right? Which means you are
Mm.
actually deleting that record from your Excel. It is same here. Let us say you have grocery, and grocery guy, shop guy is maintaining all these things, right? You can actually he can actually go and delete that, right? But let us say end user, if you don't want end user to delete this, you have something called permissions, right? You can
Oh,
give this permission to base, and you will understand this when you come to permission. Just let's click on this again. When you click on this item permission, right, administrator can do this, right? See here, you have different things called members, owners and visitors, right? So so before understanding about permissions, you have to understand something called users, right? Which in next class we'll be taking up something called users. What are the different kinds of users, how to create users, right? I'm sorry. And how to divide the users into different things called members, owners and visitors. Now here can you see here, there is a type called visitor who can read, right? Which means he will never be able to delete them, right? And there is something called owner here, which will have full control. And if you click on owners here, you can see who are all the owners of this site. Can you see this? Actually, whenever I open my site, this I have logged in with something called admin, right? So that's why I am able to delete that. I'll show you when we actually create users. I'll show you opening this again with and logging in again with this some other user, which is the read-only user. From that read-only user, you will never be able to delete your items from there, right? So that is one thing we have. So let's go back to shop again. Let's go back to grocery now. So this is the list which we created and which we can maintain in this way. Fine. Any doubt in this?
no.
Fine.
No.
So this is
Yeah, fine.
okay. So this is how we sort it up and do all the different things using list. Now you can see, right? Now you can see list is working fine here, right? When I went to actually how to create list is in this way. So and even it created a shortcut for you. Can you see here how it created this thing? Now again you can again create one more list here, right? Just go back to shop. You can see something blank here again, but lists are created here. Just go to grocery. You can see the grocery again. Let us say I want to create one more thing here. Again you have to go back to more options, right? I'll show you
Yeah.
how exclusively we can create, how exclusive we can work with lists again. So let me take again something called lists, okay? And now let us take some other list like contacts, okay? Some other list like contacts, and let me give it as a shopkeeper contacts. Fine, some list, some list where I'll just say contacts of like of dealers, right? Dealers. And here can you see here one option, I said display this list on quick launch, which means here you can see this list and grocery. This is
Yeah.
nothing but quick launch. That's why if you click on yes, it will show you here. So now let us create that. Now can you see this? It is under list, it created something called shopkeeper contacts, right? Again we selected something called we selected what is the type we selected something called contacts, right? So
Yeah.
now it gave us a default format of how contact will be. Now I think this will be more than enough, like last name, first name, company, business name. These all we can have, right? Again if you want to add a column, create column from here. If you want to hide something, go to list settings, right? Again whenever you go back to shop, right, again it is empty again. So we have created something called lists, right? where either you can go to grocery, you can see all your grocery items, go to shopkeeper contacts, you can see shopkeeper contacts. If you want to edit something here, again here you have something called list, go to list, right, and go to list settings. Here from here you can see all the columns here, right, and let us say you want to hide some columns, go to all items where you can, it will take you to the edit view, right. Here you can see, let us say you don't want to see attachments, right, and let us say you don't want to see something like, you want to see some address, right, and city, let us say, and let us go and click on OK. Can you see address and city, right? So this is how we edit things, right now. So now it's clear now how we add column, how we remove column, right, how we actually can modify columns, and you can even here you can also arrange your columns. So how to arrange your columns? Go back to list, select your list first, right, go back to the item called list, right, and you have something called list settings. So this is the main guy which will give you how to edit with your list, right. Now here you have something called again all contacts, right. So now this is how we position our columns. So select my first name, I want it to be, let us say, first column. Automatically your previous first column will go to the second column, fine. So when you click on OK, now it will take you to first name, last name, company, business, and home and all. So these are, we create something called lists, fine. Now again if you want to add, you can add items and all, fine. This is the maximum possible list again, and again if you want to go for other, now you understood what is a list again. Now again if you go back to list again, you can see some other things, right. We just added contacts, we just now if you go and add something called calendar, again it will give you some predefined thing. Let me just add some calendar again, let me take it as calendar list. Let me give something calendar list and just click on create. Let us see how it is created. Can you see it will create a whole calendar for you? Can you see here?
Wow.
It will give you direct calendar. Let us say in your shop you want to keep a track of when you want to go and buy these things and all. So this gives a whole page for you, and here can you see this ribbon will be available in all. You can see the day view, right, you can see the week view, and if you want to create any event on particular date, just double click on that, right. Can you see here it went to the day, right. It is same as I hope you have seen the Google Calendar, right, or Outlook calendar, or Hotmail calendar. It is the same,
Yeah.
right. You can just click on that. If you double click on that, it will allow you to add an event, right. It's an event again. If you can just say my buy some groceries, okay, and you can just give what time you want to add it. It's like you are creating an alert, or you're creating an event to your calendar, right. If you just go and save it up, right, see here you can see it acts as same as your normal calendar. Now let's if you can go back to browse, right, home, click on home. Can you see it again? You can see your calendar list here, right. Sorry, don't go and see the spelling again. It's I just gave some spelling, right. So here you
It's
can
okay.
see all the groceries here, right. You can see all the shopkeeper contacts here, okay. You can give, so here can you see here we just made only the last name as mandatory, right. Now here we will learn something, how to make your columns mandatory, or whenever you edit or whenever you add, how to make it mandatory, right. Now here by default we added something called shopkeeper contacts, which is nothing but a contact type list, right. So here let us say by default it just gave us a last name as a mandatory. Now we may need something else as a mandatory one, right. Am I right? So let us go back to the list. Before adding any item, let us go back. Now again when you click on add item, we can see star mark for only one column, right. Now let us see how to make some columns mandatory. Let us say I want to make my first name, my last name and company name and my home phone as mandatory. Let us take this. Let us see how to make them mandatory. Again go back to the list properties. Here you have something called list tools, right. Go back to list settings, here you can see all the columns here, right? So in here, let us say we said I want to make something called my, see, can you see one more column here, required, right? So this required is ticked only for last name. Let us go back to first name, click on first name. So here you can see something called required, that this column contains information, right? Which means if you make yes, which means you are making it as mandatory. Click on OK. Can you see the tick here again? Which means I made my first name as a mandatory. And again go back to something called let me take it as company. Okay, and in the same column go back and click on yes. If and click on OK, then you can see here I made my company mandatory. Let's go back to home phone, click on something called yes and make it as OK. Now I've made these things OK, right? Now let's go back to shopkeeper contacts. Now you can see these columns. Click on add item. Can you see here now your last name, first name, and company, and your home phone became mandatory. Now if you just don't give anything, just go and say save. Can you see we are getting some error, right? Which means unless you provide all these items, it won't allow to you, it won't allow you to add an item or record in your list, right? Let us say I am giving some last name as John and click on save. Can you see here my John, I added something, so that's why error got out of this. Again it is saying that you must add some specific value. Let me give us some Enric, right? Just click on save. Okay, it gives the same. So unless you give something, let me take company as some xxx, right, and phone number as some number, right, and click on save. Now can you see here, now it got added, right? So that is how I'm sorry, something happening there.
Can you, yeah, can you just wait for 2 minutes? I just need to pop out quickly.
I'm sorry.
Can you just wait? Hang on for 2 minutes. I just need to go outside. Somebody's come.
Sure, definitely, go on.
I'll be back just now, okay?
Fine,
Thank you.
sure, fine. So this is how we added an item to the list. Fine, Mohammed, you understood what
Yeah,
is happening,
I
right?
got.
Now this is the clear. So that's what I said in if we go and understand each and every topic, you'll understand in deep, right? So that's why
Okay.
I think this is fine with you, right? So now we are
Yeah, that,
we are going in a track where you are, so if you are understanding something called, oh shit, hello.